This tutorial will take us through how to edit skin, whiten teeth, and whiten eyes as well. So we're going to go to the P drive, Spring 2015, Worgen, Photography 1, Digital Images, open the file called Wrinkle Man. This is actually a photograph of my brother Jerry, so he would be thrilled to know that we're going to take his face and change the appearance of it. So to begin, I'm going to assume that you've done the 4 basic editing steps. And to continue, we are going to begin our edits. Before we begin our edits, we're going to create a new layer because we never want to change the original image. We always want to have the original one underneath. So I'm going to click on the Layers palette and bring that window out so I could refer to it. I'll also need the History palette and the Navigator palette. So let's begin. I'm going to create a new layer in the Layers palette. It's going to be a duplicate layer. To do this, you're going to drag from the Layers palette the background layer to the button that looks like flipped pages. It's the Create a New Layer copy. So now I have a background copy. This is the layer I will make all my edits on. I'm going to zoom in to Jerry's eyes. We are going to look at these lines that are coming out of his eyes. These are also known as crow's feet. So to start with, we're going to revisit the patch tool. Remember, with the patch tool, you are circling the area that you want to amend. In this case, I'm choosing these lines. This is what you get from not wearing sunglasses, Spartans. You're going to put your cursor inside the marching ants, drag it to an area that is similar in color and texture. Release your mouse, and bam, that area will be repaired. Press Control D to deselect. Let's go ahead and move over to the other side of our image and check out the lines over there. Those look okay. Now we're going to move over to the lines on his forehead. Before I start getting rid of some of these fine lines, I'm going to take away 2 of his pimples. So in order to do that, I need to visit the Spot Healing Brush. Remember from the other lesson, this tool will take the diameter of the brush. So if you look at that white circle, it's going to take the pixels directly under the edges of this circle. I click my mouse, and it will cover up that blemish. Now, if you notice, you can still almost see the shape of that circle. So one thing that I can change about the way I do this is I'm going to make this brush a fuzzy brush. So I'm going to change the hardness to 0 because when you are working with skin, you want everything to blend. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this guy and that guy. Okay. And that guy. And this guy. Okay. So those are softer now. Moving forward, I'm going to start working with the wrinkles on his forehead. To do this, I'm going to work with the Healing Brush tool. So I click on the Healing Brush tool. It works like the clone stamp, except that it is going to grab wherever my target is and blend rather than cover. The clone stamp covers where the Healing Brush tool blends into what's underneath it. So let's take this area for example. Make my brush a smidge bigger. I have to define where I want to clone from. So I press Alt on my keyboard, click my mouse 1 time, and that created a target. So now I take my brush and I go over my wrinkle, and as you look at that cross, you can see that wherever the cross is, that is what is being cloned. So I'm just going to go right down the line, and there you go. Now walk through his face. Alt, click, release Alt. That plus sign is following me. Now I'm going to move over to the top of his head. Alt, click, release Alt, cover. Couple more wrinkles here to take care of. Alt, click on my keyboard, release Alt, cover. Come over here, Alt, click, release Alt, cover. Now this area didn't seem to cover very well, so to clean this up, I'm going to go back to my patch tool, circle this, drag it to an area nearby. It's a lot of remembering how to use these tools together. Sometimes the patch tool will be your tool of choice, sometimes spot healing brush for little circular areas, sometimes healing brush for longer lines. Alt, click, release Alt, cover. Let's see, let's work on this last one down here. Alt, click, release Alt, cover. Okay, now that one didn't blend very well, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to try, instead of sampling from below this line, I'm going to try from above. Alt, click, release Alt, cover. It's all about problem solving, and you have to take steps and assess it. Now, right now, this looks really good. So before I move on, what should I do? Take a snapshot. In case what I do in the future isn't going to work out, I could at least get back here in the snapshot palette. So moving forward, I'm going to whiten his teeth and I'm going to whiten his eyes a little bit. In order to do this, I'm going to go into my layers palette and I'm going to create a blank layer. It's going to be called layer 1. If I double click that layer, I can change the name of it to teeth and eyes. I'm going to change the mode of this layer to color. That way I can blend. I'm going to click on a paintbrush tool and I'm going to use a fuzzy brush where the hardness is set at 0. Before I start painting, I'm going to change my mode to color as well. The color that I'm going to use is white. And now you're going to rely on your navigator palette to zoom you into the area that you're working on. So in this case, I'm working on his teeth. I'm going to do one tooth at a time. I'm going to get my paintbrush tool, left bracket to make my brush smaller. I'm only going to whiten one tooth at a time. So what I'm going to do is take my brush and I'm going to make each brush the size of the individual teeth that I am whitening. As the teeth get smaller, my brush will get smaller. Go back, fine tune. Take your navigator palette, I'm going to go up to his eyes. And in magazines, oftentimes, you will notice that if you look closely at the pictures of the celebrities in the magazines, they don't really seem to have bloodshot eyes ever. Well, this is how. They also don't have wrinkles. This is how. They don't have pores. This is how. Remember, there's a person airbrushing all the pictures that we look at in magazines. Real people don't look like that. We're all just perfect the way we are. But this is a fun trick to know how to do. Double-click the hand tool to zoom out to check your progress. And that looks pretty good. But it looks pretty fake also. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you the before and after. If in the layers palette, I take away the visibility of the teeth and eyes layer, you could see what it looked like before and after. I think it looks a little blue, kind of like Ross and Friends when he bleached his teeth. So I'm going to lower the opacity of this and make it look a little more white instead of blue. I'm going to try taking the eyeball off this layer palette. That's before, that's after. Slightly different, but definitely better. Now I'm going to show you without the wrinkles that we fixed. This is what he looked like before and after. Huge difference, right? I would say here he doesn't look real. He doesn't look human. He doesn't look like he's laughed and enjoyed his life. So what would my solution be to make him look more realistic? Same solution as the teeth and eyes layer. I lowered the opacity. So I'm going to click on that copy layer where I made all the adjustments to his skin, and I'm simply going to bring back some of his wrinkles. Not all. I mean, he would not be happy with that. So we're just going to bring back some, but they're going to be a little more faint. Not so bold. And now he looks good. I think he looked good before. But that's my brother. So I'm all done. I'm going to go to Layer, Flatten Image, and I'm going to make him one layer. And now you've just seen how to get rid of wrinkles, whiten teeth, and whiten eyes.